Hello. Before I start with my review, I'd just like to point out that this video is the 300th video to be uploaded to the Daily Movie Critics channel. So I think it would be a good point to just thank all our subscribers. You know, we've got 1,200 and something of you, and it's awesome. Thank you for supporting the channel up till now. And my review today is going to be of Sucker Punch. So Sucker Punch is a 2011 film by Zack Snyder, and he wrote it and directed it. Now Zack Snyder, you may recognise his name. He's done stuff such as Watchmen, which was a pretty good film. I liked it, a very alternative way of looking at superheroes and stuff. And he also directed 300. Now that is an epic film, let's be honest. I mean, it's just badass. So he's got a pretty good track record if you look along his works. And Sucker Punch looked amazing. I don't know, you might disagree, but I saw the trailers, and it was way back in April it was released. I saw the trailers and I thought, that's badass. It's obviously designed to look pretty badass because it's basically a group of hot girls who run around shooting things, and they're in a mental asylum at the same time. I think it was aimed at guys, but regardless of the whole hot girl thing, I thought that it looked badass anyway. It was just, it wasn't a selling point that the girls were in it, it was just, the trailer looked cool. So I was really looking forward to watching it, and I was going to go and see it in the cinema and I never got around to it. So the other day, me and my girlfriend, we sat down and we watched Sucker Punch, and it was shit. So there, I've put it out there now because I may as well just get that out there. I'm genuinely disappointed. Usually when I do reviews here, it's for films that I suggest you watch for whatever reason they're good, or they're interesting, or they're provocative thought-wise. But sometimes you have to kind of do a review of something which is disappointment, because to be honest, if I was disappointed by it, the chances are that you might be as well if you've been meaning to watch it and watch it. So if anything, it's kind of a warning. And then I'll kind of describe to you about why it was a disappointment, and you can work out whether or not you want to believe me or just go and find out for yourself. The last review I did was In-Betweeners, and that was a disappointment as well. So anyway, Sucker Punch's main character is a girl whose name I don't know, but in the film they refer to her as Baby Doll. She's played by Emily Browning, who was also in things like A Series of Unfortunate Events as the girl. I read the books, I can't remember her name. It's also got Vanessa Hudgens. She was in High School Musical, but she's alright in this film, or she looked like she was going to be alright in this film, but then it was just, her character had no point in the film. I don't even remember her really being there. But she is in it, I guarantee you. And there's also Abby Cornish in it, and a few other people. It's an ensemble cast, you can look at it on IMDb, I'll whack it in the description. It's got a lot of good actors, female actors in it, very good. And they're all hot, as I mentioned before, so that's a plus point there. The premise of the film is that Baby Doll, who's played by Emily Browning, her mother dies, and her father has a sneaky look at the will, and it basically says that her mother's left everything to her two daughters, which is Emily Browning's character and her sister. And then the father gets mad, and there's a big dramatic scene of him kind of beating them up or something and locking Emily Browning in a room, and then she kind of climbs back round and finds a gun, and then has been killed by the dad, and very dramatic anyway. She doesn't end up shooting her dad, like for killing her sister in revenge, because she's nice like that. She runs away instead, and then her dad, being even more a bastard, frames her for it, and she gets sent to a mental asylum. And the rest of the film is kind of her in a mental asylum, and it's a massive mindfuck. I thought I understood it from the trailer. I've watched it and now I don't understand it, so I don't know what happened there. Usually I'm pretty good with stuff like that, and I read up like the plot afterwards to try and see if I can make sense of it, and it's fucking confusing. Basically, she's in the mental asylum, and inside her head she comes up with another, like a fantasy scenario, and then another fantasy scenario. It's like Inception, it's fucking all over the place. But she comes up with fantasy scenarios in her head to help her plan to escape in her head as a means of putting up with the situation. If that made any sense, because it doesn't make sense really in the film. It doesn't make sense to me, so me trying to explain it, we'll just leave it at that. Like I said, read the plot or something, because it will probably make more sense than me talking to you about it. In fact, no, it won't, because the plot's shit. So one of the key points of the film is the deepest fantasy world, which it basically involves Emily Browning and all the others running around with guns and swords and just hacking up things. It's pretty badass. It looked badass, and some of the stuff in the film is badass. However, when it actually came to watching it, I fucking hated it. Like the battle scenes, and whenever they go into the fantasy world, it's a battle, right? Every time. And you think that'd be cool, like as a transition, like but it's not, it's fucking boring. The battle scenes are so shit. That's the problem with a lot of films, their battle scenes, just, you can't focus on them because there's so much going on, and oh, it's just awful. Basically, you watch the battle scenes and it becomes monotonous, and we were just like, yeah, should we go get some cake? Oh, it's just not interesting. And then it goes back into the real world that isn't the real world, it's still inside our head, and then that's kind of not that interesting because the storyline is not really very good. It's all over the fucking place, and you get to the end of the film and it's just, you're still not really sure what happened. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks since I watched it, and I've read up about it and I'm still not sure what fucking happened. Jesus. But anyway, good points of the film is some of the CGI and special effects are pretty good. There isn't really much acting, to be honest. I mean, when me and my girlfriend watched the film, we realised that Emily Browning's character didn't say anything until about 15 or 20 minutes into the film. Like, literally not a word. Another good thing is the soundtrack. Now, this film is very music orientated. One of the points of the film is that Emily Browning's character, in her fantasy world, #1, she's in a brothel with other girls and they do exotic dancing and the other kinds of things that girls do in brothels. You know what I mean. And whenever she does a dance, it then goes into the second fantasy world, which is when they have the battles. And so the music is kind of a big thing because she dances to music. And then the music is the soundtrack for all the battle scenes and things. It's not like a normal film soundtrack in that you'll get like orchestral sections and kind of just instrumental things. It's full on like, it just sounds like songs really, but they're written for the film. And they're pretty good. Some of them are really badass sounding and they're kind of cool. That's another good thing. Some of the special effects being good and some of the music being good doesn't really make up for the fact that the film is overall really bad. If you really, really think it looks really cool and you really do believe that you're going to like it after I've told you all this, then go ahead and watch it, and maybe you will, because it does have some good points in it. But I do think it's wasted potential. It looked really badass in the trailers and I thought it was going to be awesome, and it just wasn't. It just was boring. It was just a letdown, alright? So if you're like me and you saw the trailer and you thought, ah, hot girls, guns, mental asylums, that's pretty cool, I'll watch that, and then you haven't got around to it, to be honest, don't bother. Just forget about it. I don't really look at any reviews up until the night before I watched it, and then it was all like kind of mixed reviews and mostly negatives, and IMDb it's a 6 out of 10. It was all very confusing. So I was like, oh, it looked really cool, how come it's not got better reviews? And then I watched it and realised why it's not got better reviews. So overall, I'd give the film a 4 out of 10. I mean, it's not really worth going out of your way to watch, just put it that way. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm sorry this review wasn't very straightforward, but neither is the film. I'll be back next Sunday, so bye-bye.